Hey everybody, Andrew back for another Barista Basics video. Of course, before I get into today's topic, I need to make my disclaimer that any opinions stated in my videos are my own. I'm not here to represent Starbucks or any other corporation or impede on any of these companies' intellectual properties or trademarks. My videos are simply just meant for fun and educational purposes. So with that said, we can go ahead and get into today's topic, which is the difference between iced coffee and cold brewed iced coffee. And so I thought that this video would be pretty timely because I have noticed, especially recently, that there are a lot of people that don't really know what cold brew iced coffee is, let alone how it differentiates itself from traditional iced coffee. So I thought that this video, like I said, would be pretty timely and pretty pertinent. So to start, we're gonna talk about our iced coffee because that is it's the easier process between the two. And so iced coffee is simply just hot coffee that is poured over ice. Like I said, pretty simple. Typically, when you go to any sort of coffee shop, they're most likely going to use a medium roast for their iced coffee, simply because medium roast is the most popular roast of coffee in America, hence the name America's Roast. Of course, this isn't to say that every single coffee shop in the world utilizes medium roast for their iced coffee. That's just sort of a general statement. Now, with that said though, this you can really deviate from using medium roast when you create iced coffee at home yourself, which is super simple because, like I said, it's just literally pouring hot coffee over ice. So, whatever brewing method you prefer at home, whether it be a Keurig, sorry, my hair is itching me like crazy, whether it be a Keurig or, your traditional stand-up coffee maker, pour over, French press, whatever. However you make your coffee at home, whatever roast you like, all you have to do is, when it's done brewing, put it over some ice, and bada bing, you got some iced coffee. So iced coffee is, of course, tasty and super simple to do at home as well. Now, our cold brew is a little more complicated and a little more difficult to do. Not really in terms of like effort you need to put towards it. It's not, the actual energy you put towards it is not very much. However, it does take much longer. And this makes sense because, as we can see in our sort of statement next to this cold brew header, these cold brew coffee grounds are not exposed to any heat at all throughout any point in the process. So instead of having heat draw out the coffee from our coffee grounds like an iced coffee, we are letting time do the work for us. So instead of temperature in iced coffee, we are utilizing time in our cold brew. So that leads us into our our first sort of bullet point under our cold brew here, which is that cold brew iced coffee is typically steeped anywhere from 12 hours to 24 hours. And so this low and slow kind of steeping allows for much deeper, sort of complex flavors. It also greatly increases the amount of caffeine in the resulting cold brew, which makes sense because it is taking longer to it takes longer to make cold brew, meaning that there's more time for the caffeine to be extracted. So it's super concentrated in terms of flavor and caffeine level, which is why I have this little arrow pointing to saying that it is typically diluted with water, which it is typically because, like I said, it is so super concentrated and so super caffeinated that even after the steeping process, they dilute it even more with cold water to sort of mitigate this intensity. Now, the type of roast that is typically used for our cold brew is a dark roast. Of course, this is another sort of general statement. It doesn't apply to every coffee shop. But cold brew and dark roast are sort of like a match made in heaven because the cold brew process actually helps bring out some, like I said, deeper, richer, complex flavors, which include some chocolatey notes to it. And if you recall, a lot of dark roast coffees that roast, generally speaking, also has, you know, deeper, richer, chocolatey notes to it. So, like I said, it's a perfect pairing. And just a little more information about how cold brew is different from iced coffee. It is less acidic, meaning that, you know, you take a sip of iced coffee versus a sip of cold brew. The cold brew is going to feel a lot smoother on your tongue, not as sharp. And it also typically is more bitter. And this is, again, due to the longer extraction, the longer steeping period. Yeah, and actually I think that is going to be all for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. I hope that you guys learned something, of course. I hope it was able to not only explain what cold brew really is, but also how it is different from iced coffee. And yeah, like I said, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something. And if you're in school, I hope that you're having a good semester. My semester so far has been going pretty well. Nothing super crazy has happened since last week, thankfully, so we're still on the right track. And I hope that the same applies for you guys. With all that said though, like I said, I hope that you guys have a great day. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I thank you so much for checking it out, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.